Echoes of laughter. In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where maple trees whispered secrets to the wind and the evenings carried the scent of fresh-baked bread from neighborhood ovens, lived the Rivera family. At the heart of their cozy two-story home was Elena, a 42-year-old architect whose days blurred into nights under the glow of blueprints and deadlines. Her husband, Marco, a high school history teacher, spent his evenings grading papers, his laughter lines deepening not from joy, but from the weight of unspoken worries. Their two children, 10-year-old Sofia with her wild curls and endless questions, and 7-year-old Luca, whose shy smile hid a world of imagination, tumbled through the house like autumn leaves, but lately their energy felt more like scattered debris than a playful storm. It hadn't always been this way. 5 years earlier, the Riveras had been the envy of the block. Family game nights that echoed with belly laughs, Sunday picnics where Marco's guitar strums wove stories into songs, and Elena's sketches turning blank walls into murals of dreams. But then came the promotions. Elena's firm demanding 60-hour weeks, Marco's school piling on extracurriculars to fund a leaky roof repair. Bills crept up like ivy, and exhaustion settled in like fog. Dinners became silent affairs, interrupted only by the ping of notifications. Sofia's questions went unanswered, her drawings crumpled in frustration. Luca, once bold in his superhero capes, now retreated to his room with a tablet's blue glow as his only companion. Happiness, that once vibrant flame, had dimmed to a flicker, leaving the family in a chill they couldn't name. One crisp October evening, as rain pattered against the kitchen window like impatient fingers, Elena collapsed into a chair after another late call. The clock read 8:47 p.m. Too late for bedtime stories, too early for the guilt to fade. Marco entered, tie loosened, carrying a stack of ungraded essays. "Rough day?" he asked, his voice a tired echo. "Rough year," Elena sighed, rubbing her temples. The words hung heavy, pulling Sofia and Luca from the living room where they'd been half-heartedly building a Lego fortress that kept toppling. Sofia's eyes, wide and searching, met her mother's. "Mommy, why don't we play the guessing game anymore? The one where we act out animals?" Luca clutched his stuffed dinosaur, whispering, "I miss the fort in the backyard, before it rained all the time." Those words pierced Elena like sunlight through clouds. In that moment, staring at her family's weary faces reflected in the rain-streaked glass, she saw not just exhaustion, but a quiet plea. Happiness wasn't a distant vacation or a lottery win. It was the small, deliberate threads they wove together, day by day, and they'd let those threads fray. That night, as the children slept, Elena pulled out her sketch pad. Not for work, but for them. She drew a family tree, not of bloodlines, but of moments. Branches for laughter, roots for rituals, leaves for love. By dawn, a plan bloomed in her mind. A commitment to rebuild, one intentional brick at a time. The next morning, Elena gathered them around the breakfast table, the air thick with the aroma of pancakes she'd flipped with unpracticed enthusiasm. "Family huddle," she announced, her voice steady despite the butterflies. "We've been running so fast we've forgotten to dance. Starting today, we're building our happiness castle. Together. No more half measures. Who's in?" Marco raised an eyebrow, but his lips twitched into a smile. "What's the blueprint, boss?" "Rule 1, Elena said, tapping her sketch. "Unplugged dinners. Every night phones in the quiet corner, and we share one high and one low from our day. No judgments, just ears wide open." Sofia clapped, syrup dripping from her chin. "And Rule 2, weekly wonder walks. We explore the neighborhood like it's a treasure hunt. No rush, just us noticing the magic." Luca's eyes lit up. "Can we build forts again? Real ones?" Marco nodded, squeezing Elena's hand under the table. "Rule 3, my domain. Story circles on Sundays. I spin tales from history, but you all add the twists." As they brainstormed, the table buzzed with ideas. Elena's art nights, where they'd paint emotions on canvases, Marco's guitar lessons for tiny fingers, a gratitude jar, where notes of thanks would pile up like autumn harvest. The first week tested their resolve. Elena's boss scheduled a late meeting, but she negotiated an earlier end, arriving home to find Marco and the kids knee-deep in a blanket fort in the living room. "Welcome to Fort Rivera. Entry fee, one silly face," Sofia declared, her laughter pulling Elena in like gravity. That night, over spaghetti that tangled more on forks than plates, Luca shared his low. "I felt scared when you weren't home." Elena listened, her heart aching, then offered her high. "Holding this fort together, that's my win." The air softened, conversations flowing like the rain outside had turned to gentle streams. Challenges arose, of course. Marco's grading pile overflowed one Tuesday, tempting him to skip the Wonder Walk. But as they trudged through puddles, Luca splashed ahead, declaring a puddle portal to Adventureland. Sofia linked arms with Elena, pointing out a rainbow arching over the park. "See, Mom? Even rain makes colors." Marco's shoulders eased. In those steps, he remembered why teaching history mattered. Not just facts, but the stories that bound people. By month's end, the changes rippled outward. Elena's sketches filled the fridge, not with deadlines but with family portraits. Sofia as a fierce explorer, Luca as a dino whisperer. The gratitude jar brimmed. "Thanks for the pancake flip that didn't burn," read one in Marco's scrawl. "For believing my stories are real," in Luca's wobbly print. One Sunday, under a canopy of strung fairy lights, Marco strummed a melody while the kids invented lyrics about a family of cloud builders. Elena watched, tears pricking her eyes as harmony wrapped around them like a warm quilt. It wasn't perfection. No family is a flawless castle. There were still slammed doors and forgotten rules, arguments over who got the last pancake. But in the deliberate acts, the unplugged talks that unearthed dreams, the walks that rediscovered wonder, the stories that stitched souls, they rebuilt something stronger. Happiness, Elena realized, wasn't found. It was forged, brick by loving brick, in the messy, magnificent workshop of home. As winter's first snow dusted Willow Creek, the Riveras stood in their backyard, steaming mugs in hand, watching Sofia and Luca construct their grandest fort yet, a snow-walled palace with stick flags fluttering in the breeze. Marco wrapped an arm around Elena. "We did this," he murmured, "not by accident but on purpose." And in that frozen moment, warmed by shared breath and unbreakable bonds, Elena whispered back, "We still are, every day." For in the heart of every family lies the power to build, not just walls, but worlds of joy. It starts with one thread, one rule, one hand reaching out. What will your family's first brick be?